Hey guys, and welcome back. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of Gogokid's curriculum details, and we're going to give you some tips on how to teach, how to write the feedback, and some other classroom suggestions. Okay? Alright, so let's start with the different class types that we have here at Gogokid. There are three main types of classes: trial classes, core classes, and open classes. Although the open classes are coming soon, they're not quite ready yet. The trial classes are for those students that are trying out our product and seeing if they like it or not. The purpose of the trial classes are to try to get the student to talk as much as possible, to make the class fun and interesting, and to roughly gauge the student's level to see where they should start. If a student signs up, then they will move on to our core classes. Our core classes are those classes based on our curriculum. The open classes are not one-on-one classes, they are one-to-many classes, so any student can come and join the class. Once the open classes are ready, those teachers that have a high feedback rate and a high teacher score may be invited to come teach this kind of class. Now, let's talk a little bit more about these core classes. So, in a regular core class unit, there are 12 classes, 8 regular classes, 2 assessment classes, and 2 presentations. In the regular classes, we learn some new content, some new vocabulary and sentences, we go through some songs, and we do some activities with the students. In the assessment classes, we review the content that they've learned thus far. And in the presentation classes, we make something with the student. We do a project with the student, and then at the end of the class, they present this to us, then they say a few sentences about it. Okay? The structure goes like this: 4 regular classes, 1 assessment class, 1 presentation class. Then another 4 regular classes, another assessment class, and another presentation class. Okay? So that's what one normal unit looks like. So in the classroom, how should we dress? And how should we decorate our backgrounds for the classroom? Well, let's start with the background. In regards to the background, at least have a plain background. However, we would recommend that you decorate your background with many colors, pictures, and educational prompts. This way, we can incite the students' attention and potentially increase our own booking rate. It makes the classes more fun and interactive, okay? Now, in regards to how we should dress, well, think smart casual. If you wouldn't wear it to a meeting, then I don't suggest wearing it to the classroom. This means no revealing clothing, no offensive language, and no clothing that has lots of writing on it. You have to realize that some people may be more conservative than us, and we don't want to offend anybody by what we are wearing, okay? Now, we've talked a little bit about the core classes, and you know that there are 3 different types of classes within those core classes, as in regular classes, assessment classes, and presentation classes. Now, this page is to give you a rough understanding of what goes on in each of the classes, okay? It may change slightly in the future, but to give you a rough idea, I think it's okay. So, for the regular classes, we first have an introduction, we sing a song, teach some vocabulary, and teach some sentences. We go through some activities with the students, then do some reading practice, then we recap on what we've covered thus far and say goodbye, okay? In the assessment classes, we have the same introduction, we go through the assessment activities, then do an assisted project with the students, then we review what we've done thus far in the class, we remind them to bring the materials for the presentation class, and then we say goodbye. And finally, for the presentation classes, we will have an introduction, we check the students have the materials that they need for the project, we do the project with the students then present their project to us by saying a few sentences about it, we review what we've covered thus far, and then we say goodbye to the students. So this gives you a rough understanding of what goes on in each of the classes that we have, okay? One of the best tools that you have in your teaching arsenal, and one of the best tips that I can give you in regards to your teaching, is use TPR. So what is TPR? Well, TPR stands for Total Physical Response, and it's when you use your actions and gestures to help explain whatever it is that you're trying to explain, okay? It's especially useful when giving directions to younger learners. as chances are they only understand a small portion of what you're trying to say. So gestures like crossing your arms, cupping your ears, moving your hands, these are all examples of TPR. For example, if I wanted to ask the student to repeat after me, I could do it like so. I will say it first, and you can repeat after me. Okay? And then I would say, Sally went to the park. And then I would cup my ear to give them an indication that they should speak. And then I would say, Sally. So I would point to what I was saying and say it softly. Sally went to the park. And then they have an indication that they should speak. And hopefully they will repeat after me. Okay? So now I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks to make teaching your classes a little bit easier. Okay? So let's get started. The first tip is when teaching new vocabulary, you should break the word into sounds. That way it makes it easier for the student to understand. Let's say the word is giraffe. I can say giraffe, giraffe. And then I gesture to the student to say the word. That way they have the best possibility to understand and repeat the word after me. Okay? Tip number 2. When repeating words and sentences a lot, you can use props or funny voices to make that repetition a little bit more interesting for the students. Tip number 3. When correcting the students, you should try to correct them without actually pointing out that they've made a mistake. So if they make a mistake, don't say, no, that's not right. You can try to just repeat the sentence again, but try to emphasize the point where they made a mistake. Okay? So if they are learning about how to say their name, and they say, my name Jack, then you can say, my name is Jack. And then you gesture to them, and they can say, my name is Jack. You say, my name is Jack. And then they can say, my name is Jack. And then you encourage them. You're like, yeah, good job, very good, just like that. So you want to encourage them anytime they make some progress to maintain the student's motivation for learning English. Okay? Tip number 4. Extend upon the content in the slides when you run out of time or when the student finds the content too easy. So you can come up with your own activities or talk about something related to that topic. For example, if you are talking about sports and they've just learnt all the different sports that there are, maybe you can ask them, what sports do they play at school? Or you can ask them, what sports can be played in the water? What sports can be played in the park? Okay? So this is one way to extend upon the content. Tip number 5. Make full use of the classroom features such as drawing, writing text, and giving stars to the students. And a note about the stars. Since there is a maximum of 5 stars that can be given in the classroom, we also suggest that you come up with your own reward system. You can use some stickers, some props, or some drawings as your reward system. Personally, I like to draw pictures for the students. They find it very entertaining and interesting. And the last tip, tip 6, be enthusiastic and don't be afraid to be fun and silly. Remember that kids like that. They don't like someone who is very serious. So let's assume for a moment that you've just finished a class and now it's time to write feedback. How should we write that feedback? Well, here are some suggestions to keep in mind when writing feedback. The first of which, write in a formal manner. Don't use slang or casual language. Remember that you're writing to someone's parent, and some of these parents care a lot about their child's performance. So they want some very clear feedback about how their child did and how their child can improve. The second of which is the general structure of your feedback. Try to write it like this. Start with what was covered, then talk about what the student did well with, and then talk about what the student should try to focus on or practice, and how they can go about doing that. The parents will be very appreciative if you can tell them how their child can improve, okay? The last of which I would say is try to keep it brief. There's no need to write an essay about one lesson. It's time consuming for you and it's time consuming for the parents to read. So just focus on the main points of the lesson. Hopefully those tips will make your feedback writing a little bit easier. The last thing we're going to leave you with in this video are some basic class suggestions. The first of which is you can prepare for your classes by viewing the PPT before the class starts. You can do this by going to the upcoming classes section and clicking on the lesson content button. This will help you to prepare for your classes a little bit better, and you can come up with some activities for the class too, okay? In the lesson content section and in the classroom below the slides are tips for teaching each of the slides. So if you ever get stuck teaching, then you should check those tips out. Also, make sure to be on time for your classes to avoid tarnishing your teacher's score and to maintain your booking rate with the students, okay? Finally, if you have any questions, you may contact us anytime via Freshdesk or email. The links are shown here in the video. We hope that you found these tips useful and we'll see you guys in the next video. Okay? Bye-bye!